to the Sunday Times, and a row at a school has spilled out onto the Twitter sphere. Leo, what's going on?
Yeah, so this is, I mean, you might remember last week there was a row because a teenage girl was basically bullied out of her school. She disagreed with, or she asked questions. She didn't, explicitly deny what was being taught her, but they had, a trans rights activist came to teach them about trans ideology. She questioned it and posited that perhaps biological sex could be real, men and women could exist, and there are differences between them. And she was forced out of her school. So she's now being backed by J.K. Rowling, the Education Secretary Nadeem Zahawi, who's appearing in the papers a lot at the moment, and various other people. And she says she's just grateful the important issue is now being discussed. And yeah, maybe we should listen to women on this issue instead of just listening to trans women like me.
Yeah, Sajila, I know you've had strong views on this in the past.
I have. And this really saddens me. I mean, one of the things that actually I ended up in a rabbit hole looking at a tweet about something you tweeted about Owen Jones, who effectively there was trending that she was bullying. Jones a bully, and I've always liked him in the past.
Guardian journalist.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he had basically said he'd like to speak to the girls who... So he basically saying, this one girl, I don't believe what she said, but let's find out what the other girl said and why she was kicked out. That made no sense to me. It doesn't matter what she did or didn't do.
Yeah.
A group of people have bullied one person, and now you're saying, let's not forget what she's saying, forget what she asked, because obviously everything she did or said was wrong. And I think this is really dangerous when you are stopping a conversation from happening. Questions young people have, they need to be answered.
And they're using, school bullies are using this ideology as a mechanism to bully. I mean, they interview one of the teachers at length here in this article, and he says, what happened in the sixth form centre is an example of where narcissistic rage masquerades as righteous anger in the form of gleeful outrage. Here, otherwise perfectly nice and agreeable individuals collude and congregate to show that they are on the moral high ground. Also, any waverers will be getting the clearest message of what will happen to them if they don't conform. Of course, when you think you've got the moral high ground, when you're pious and righteous, it gives you so much more strength. Because you think you're right, you think what you're doing, like in any witch hunt from Salem, from wherever, you believe that what you're doing is right, and you're punishing the person righteously.
But this is like school kids, this is school kids. So now it's become a very different playground. Politics. I mean, girls have always been a bit mean or mean children when they're being bullying. But to now, how brave is she to actually speak out?
And in Scotland, it's happening in primary schools with kids changing their gender or even their name and their pronouns at the age of 5 without parental consent.
It's really disturbing.
How do you see this playing out? Because this is not transphobia. I think the three of us agree that transphobia is a terrible thing. If you choose to identify as a different gender, good luck to you. But this is denying the basic facts of biology and also attacking women's rights.
It is, and actually they're using transphobia to weaponise, to actually say that there's transphobia going, which isn't happening. Do you know what I mean? I want to see more cases where you're saying this is happening, but it's actually a schoolgirl asking a question that is not transphobia. Anyone asking, it's not just transphobia, we've got other stories as well that we're going to cover, I know, but it's any issue. If you cannot have a debate, and the whole point I think we just talked a little while ago about this show, is that we have different opinions, but there is still a camaraderie between us. There is still like a unity, and we can still have that. And I don't understand society where, people say, I'm going to switch off because I don't like what they were saying because it doesn't agree with me. Don't be so pathetic. You're going to switch off because somebody disagrees with you. How do you make your way through the day and, you're going to a supermarket, having your daily stuff when everybody thinks against you? It's important to listen to other people's opinions. And this poor girl was shut down for simply having an opinion.
Briefly, how do you see this attack on women's rights playing out, the extreme trans ideology? Where does this go, Sajila?
I don't know. I think there's been a backlash, and I think the tide is turning. Like, even within groups of friends who've been quite right on, they're saying that they feel they've got a different opinion on this than they had earlier. Because even I was like, oh, I mustn't offend anybody, I mustn't say anything, I mustn't upset anyone. But no, that ends up actually me losing my rights, me losing my kind of self-worth or my sense of who I am and what I want to say.
So when more ordinary people feel the consequences of this, because at the moment it's quite abstract, isn't it, Leo? But when we saw Leah Thomas with you know, this is a man that identifies as a woman, a biological male, smashing women in the pool. At that point, the public said, wait a minute, this is a bit odd.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, just recently we saw feminists around the statue of Emmeline Pankhurst being
that was awful.
harassed and assaulted by males in black masks. And obviously that's a terrible look for any movement, but for the trans rights movement that's trying to say, you know, look, we can just identify as whatever, and you've got to accept it. I mean, to then, you know, be acting in that fashion and putting a noose around Emmeline Pankhurst's neck, that's terrible optics.
How does
for any movement.
How does that support women in any way? And
how does it support transgender people as well?
Exactly. It's such a bad publicity.
And many transgender people say, not in my name.
Exactly. And also, I think I have more of a problem when it comes to male transitioning to women, because I think they're mistaken in thinking that they're going to get all these rights. It's not easy being a woman. You know, it's not going to sort all your life out. It's not going to fix everything.
Leah, very, very briefly, how do you see this whole trans ideology playing out? Does it go away?
I think it's going to rumble on. I mean, wokeism is now systemic. It's throughout all our institutions, so everywhere. HR departments, the guidance that's handed down to police, it's in our legislation with hate crime bills, with the online safety bill. So this isn't...
Corporations as well.
Corporations.
University.
Yeah.
The media.
Universities. Everywhere. Everywhere is infiltrated and
not your house,
systemically woke.
Not in your house.
I mean, you know, we're kind of woke. I mean, I support you know, trans rights and stuff, but... You know, I think there are elements that have taken it too far, and there's obviously a backlash against it, and it's tarnishing the whole of wokeness.
But surely that's any ideology. Don't take it too far either way.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. The centre ground, whatever happened to that...